The Paul George narrative keeps changing. I'm sure you've recently seen clips of PG's podcast all over social media, and even Brandon Miller calling him the GOAT. This all of a sudden hype around PG got me thinking about how much of a roller coaster his public perception has been.
From his days as an up-and-comer in Indiana, through that crazy foot injury, the random beef he had with Joe Ingles, and a lot of unnecessary comments, Paul George has been on both sides of fandom. So, let's take a look back at how much things have changed.
As many of you guys know, Paul George was drafted to Indiana in 2010. Although it took a bit, people started to notice his growth.
PG is the first to tell you he was nothing more than a role player in his first 2 seasons. After some opportunity opened up, it was wraps from there. PG was the star Indiana was looking for, and his story is perfect for the fans.
PG and the Pacers were battling with the Miami Heat in the Eastern Conference Finals, and whether it was a field goal story or the fact that Indiana was a small market team, fans loved him.
Fans were even more captivated after his foot injury. In a meaningless game for Team USA, George suffered one of the most gruesome injuries I've ever seen. This made his return to the court that much greater.
PG returned to his former self, which was one of the best stories in the NBA. Felt like fans kept loving him more and more, and that's why no one was upset when he was traded to OKC.
Although it was obvious he wanted to get traded, people knew that it was because Indiana was cheap and was damn near rebuilding at that point. George really wanted to go to the Lakers, and the fact that he got traded to OKC made fans feel even more bad for him.
The prospect of Russ and PG was super exciting for the NBA. He was going to be the KD replacement, and his own fans were happy he was finally going to have another All-Star by his side. Unfortunately, things went downhill from there.
When the playoffs came along, the Thunder were the favorites against a Jazz team whose best player was a rookie at the time. Paul George, Russell Westbrook, and an old Carmelo Anthony. There was no way they were going to lose.
I think the moment that the narrative first shifted on Paul George was his infamous quote.
Y'all ain't met Playoff P yet, huh?
Playoff P did not show up.
He randomly got into some beef with Joe Ingles out of all people, who's the definition of a role player. This is no disrespect to Joe Ingles. He was as solid as they come. He was a great defender, great shooter, and great passer. But this man looks like the opposite of an NBA player, and compared to Paul George, there's no comparison there. That's what really made this beef so funny.
Paul George played bad, dropping 25 points on 40% from the field on average. This led them losing in Game 6, where Playoff P dropped a whopping 5 points. He did have 8 assists though.
Fans saw that and obviously mocked him. So he wanted to right his wrongs and decided to return to OKC, which shocked a lot of people, because they thought for sure he was finally going to land on the Lakers.
This in a way made fans forget about the bad performance, because it was cool that a small market team was able to retain a star player. PG also had a great season, which made things a lot better too. He was an MVP and DPOY candidate, but once again, things still went downhill.
The Thunder ended up losing in the first round once again. And Paul George actually didn't play too bad, but who cares? Because Dame absolutely destroyed them the whole series and ended it in the most humiliating way possible, with a step back from half court to end the series. This not only became one of the greatest shots in NBA history, but PG later made some of the greatest comments in NBA history, with the infamous,
That's a bad shot.
He did a great job covering these comments up by being traded to the Clippers, who were the favorites immediately. Kawhi and PG, plus a super deep team full of dogs, it was finally the Clippers' time.
PG didn't help his new unlikable narrative by saying that he in fact was a Clippers fan when he was growing up. If you know anything about Paul George, you knew he was capping. PG wanted to go to the Lakers basically his entire career.
Again, things kept on spiraling down for PG, reaching the lowest of lows. Like we said recently, the Clippers were the favorites, especially facing a young Denver Nuggets team. They were obviously going to win, and the Clippers proved it by going up 3-1.
Of course, as we know now, they proceeded to blow this 3-1 lead, and Paul George has some of the worst games I've ever witnessed from a star player, culminating in him hitting the side of the backboard late in Game 7.
This man was getting destroyed on social media. I don't think I've ever seen someone get memed on so much. This dude was called every name in the dictionary, and the funniest shit was him pulling up to the post-game interview with 2 giant ice bags on both shoulders.
But like this video proves, the narrative continues to change for Paul George. Over the next 2 seasons and a solid playoff run the year after, PG started to once again become likable.
I think the biggest reason for this is his podcast, named Podcast P. This is honestly one of my favorite podcasts. PG is super likable and he's a great storyteller. He's an amazing listener and has great guests. His chemistry with his co-stars, Dallas and Jackie, are also great and they're super funny together.
This podcast has done wonders for PG's reputation. And it also doesn't hurt that the number 2 pick in this year's draft and Carmelo Anthony's son called him the GOAT.
PG is one of the most skilled players of all time. His handle, size, and defense makes him the perfect player on paper. He's never really been able to reach these expectations. I'm honestly really excited to see where PG goes from here and how his narrative and career will keep on changing.
As always, if you guys enjoyed the video, please like, subscribe, comment on your thoughts below on Paul George's career and just him as a person. If you have any video suggestions, also let us know down below. Thank you guys for watching and peace out.
Peace out.